Alright, I have no idea what you're seeing. I don't know how to do adjustments and such. We're going to do some one and done videos for right now. So, I don't know what I'm looking at. Alright, so what I'm looking at right now, I've got this little Healey that I'm dealing with, okay? And you can see the streaking, and there's some old lead work, some poor body work actually. I want to get back into the garage. I want to get back into putting video together. Right now, you're just going to get one and done. I'm shooting off of my phone, off my little Android phone. Kind of want to show you what I'm up to right now. I'm finishing this up. Me and the guy I'm doing the work for, he and I are going to have a conversation after this segment. One thing in particular, this had been sandblasted, and it started rusting on me really bad because sandblasting. So I went and I've cleaned up all these panels, all the steel panels. So there's 6 of them total. Front fender, door, rear fender, both sides. And then I pickled them with phosphoric acid. This product is Fix. I like the product. I have some Ospo that a friend and customer had given me. One thing that was brought to my attention, I never thought about it, and I felt kind of dumb, but there it is. I would scrub these with a red Scotch-Brite. I'd scrub these panels with a red Scotch-Brite and fresh water. Get it all rinsed off. Acetone, and then shoot. Well, how do you neutralize, fully neutralize an acid, not just dilute it to the point of inert? This, pick a brand, use a generic, I don't care. But your average window cleaner is an ammonia base. So you can kind of see up here, I sprayed this area. I just kind of want to check it out. And I was handling, I don't know if you can see it, but I was handling the door and the rear fender on this side after I pickled it. And you can see, other than pinhole burns from welding, my PPE I don't wear like I should, but you can see where I'm red. I had laid those parts across my arms to install them. But I want to show you something. This is nifty, I think. We'll come back here where we got some good telltale. So we got a good area right here where it's been properly pickled with phosphoric acid. So what happens is an acid and a base come together and it neutralizes them. And it's got a sticky feel to it, this Fix leaves a sticky feel to it. But you can see it literally just wiped right off, not much to it. There wasn't much residue. I actually wear gloves and applicate it with a spray bottle, and I got a terry cloth towel that I wipe it down, not dry, leave it damp, but I wipe it down so it's uniform. But you can see at that point I got enough mechanical tooth, I can actually epoxy over that. It's completely neutralized. Doing lead work, you can do the same thing to neutralize the acid core flux, or the acid flux that you use for tooth. Now the main event, what I'm wanting to show you is, when this came in, these fenders they had a straight line bent right across there, just a straight line. And I actually had to build a hammer buck. I cut the fender off just a ½ inch around that radius. Built a hammer buck and bent it, and then the bottom piece, that shoulder, that you can see, I made out of another piece of steel. Actually, I made it out of the lower section of door skin from the doors that I had to reskin the lower half of. The old skin was there. It was a bad repair that I had to, well, repair. And I used my shrinker stretcher so I could bring that bottom piece, that swoop up on that bottom piece. And that's what I wound up doing. You can see the metal finish came out really nice. It's all good. And these are pickled. It's dry, but they're pickled with phosphoric acid, so they'll take humidity and everything for a while, as long as you're not out into a deluge. Somebody etch primered that. Not my deal. You can see there where the door has been reskinned from there down. I actually had to shave in some areas and extend in other areas for these gaps. With the door shut all the way, I have a nice uniform gap, if that pinch down there were bolted on, the door would actually, hey, oh, it's pinched on underneath with a pair of vice grips right now. But the doors function again. This line came across, and I've got a nice line there. What's happened here, the situation with this car, there were 7 other people before me doing metal work, and it was awful. That's an old repair that somebody else did, as well as that. These wheel arches were all fuckered up. I actually had to, because it's wire wrapped, wire rolled. I didn't want to disturb it, so what I did is I cut out a little slice, pushed that wire back, re-welded it, metal finished it. So I can have that pinch at the back, where it pinches in at the back of the tire, how these Healeys and all the pictures I've seen are supposed to look. Made that correct, and then went through all of the correction here. The driver's side door was worse because literally it overlapped over the rear fender, because that's a fender, it's bolt on. It overlapped about that much, about 1/4 of an inch over there. The height was good here and here, and on the driver's side there, it had 1/2 inch gap there, overlapped 1/4 inch there. It was over 1/2 inch off the bottom rocker. It was over 1/2 inch off the top of the rocker, and I had to go through and use 1/8 inch flat stock. 18 gauge bent over a flange is about 1/8 inch thick. So I used 1/2 inch flat stock, and I expanded all of these areas where I had to shave it, which was here through this gap. I shaved it, this side, the fender and the door, and I wound up clamping that back together because I split that flange, clamped it back together, stitch welded it, metal finished it. So this is a 1955 100M or something, I believe. My aspect on this is done at this point. I've done what I told them I would do. This was make busy work between, I now work, part-time at another shop, and this car got me back working again, basically. It made me hate life a little less. I had to make that patch there. I two-pieced it because coming across, it shrunk here enough that I don't have a deep throat shrinker stretcher. I just have your standard, you can buy at Harbor Freight, as a matter of fact, and it works fantastic unless you need to shrink the middle of a panel. And it was easier for me to bring that back and not disturb above and below. There's a flange inside there all the way around, like a 3/4 inch flange. I cut it loose from that, so now we didn't have any disruption of height issues here. I had something left of the original, and I was able to weld to it and make this patch. This patch is about 80%. I'm not stoked about it, but it's not a bad patch. I'm okay with it. But there's that. Yeah, that's what I'm working on this week. Well, that's what I was working on this week. This old girl, she's gonna get pulled away from the wall and staged. I got some chassis repair to do. I got my big stands. I'm gonna get the chassis set up square, get it straight again. It's not straight right now. The body doesn't sit on it correctly. I can get it away from there. I can get the chassis straightened out, get the body remounted, and then I've got floor sections in the cabin and a whole trunk pan new to put in. That's what I'm staging today. I want to have the frame straightened out this week so I can look at bolting it back down. But I was really interested in showing you, I pickle my steel when it's got to stay raw steel for a while. It never occurred to me. Somebody on the old Facebook suggested I use Windex. It dawned on me at that point, ammonia based. So that's kind of where that came from, why I'm sharing it now. But this project is as far as I think I'm taking it. I may epoxy the panels, the steel panels at least. Other than that, it's not going to be my problem anymore. I did the metal work. I did my job. You folks have a good one. I'm going to try to bop in a little more often. I figured out how to post from my phone. So there you go.